Alright, let's see how we do, huh?
Blood and thunder.
Sourfang turns to face you. Is that blood I smell? I regret being unable to lend assistance. How proud you must be. My chest swells just knowing what you have done. Are there others like you? Where you come from? Do more heroes exist? Will you do me one last honor, Valvaxus? I do not wish to return to Garadar. I believe that my destiny lies elsewhere at the Wrathgate, and I will serve a greater purpose someday at the Wrathgate. Please return to Farseer Korhuk and tell him I will not be returning. I cannot return. I must walk the earth. He will understand.
Strength.
Meanwhile,
Loktar.
it is a good start, but their leaders must be dealt with for your actions to have any lasting impact. Have you ever seen an Ogre King, Blood Elf? Few have, and live to tell the tale. Hey, Nightforger. Unfortunately, that is exactly what we are dealing with here. The leader of these barbarians is an ogre named Chowar. Rumor has it that Chowar was the ogre responsible for forcing the Grahn out of the cave. Chowar then declared himself king and dissolved the ogre clans that served under the Grahn, and thus Warmaw was born. Find Chowar, slay him, bring me his head.
For the Horde.
For reference, I'm not seeing any frame drops on my end this time, so I'm not sure. If there's more latency, I literally can't do anything about it. I have a clean connection to Twitch now.
Thrall Hall.
You have done what none thought possible, and brought back our missing brothers and sisters. You are a hero to the Mag'har.
Go forth to victory.
Yeah. No, it's time for you to see what an Ogryn really looks like. First of all, he's very drunk, and I mean like very drunk. You guys have no idea how much booze he has flowing through his system at any given point in time. Yeah, he might have. Hang on, unban. There. Yeah, if you have multiple offenses, Nightbot will then actually temp ban you. So, as opposed to just silencing you. Timeout is actually what it's called. Oh, shoot. Yes and no, little Billy. I'll be showing off the beginnings of them, but for obvious reasons I don't really want to do the lengthy and extensive Netherwing daily chain. But I will be showing them off because there's some lore significance, and I'll be doing that before we hit Black Temple. So getting back to what we were talking about earlier, the loot mechanic. So some people seem to... there's a lot of differing opinions when it comes to crafted loot. Now, there is one thing I do want to point out here really quick. Some people tend to think that crafted gear, or crafting systems in an MMO are absolutely mandatory. You always have to have a crafting system. I don't remember, little Billy. It doesn't matter, like, whether my Horde or my Alliance goes to Shadowmoon Valley is completely inconsequential, so... I guess I'll decide when I get there. Anyways, I just feel like pointing out that while I get the allure and desire of a crafting system, in a lot of games actually, not just MMOs, I'm not one of those people who thinks that crafting always has to be a part of it. Especially since at several points in history of several MMOs, WoW itself being no exception to this, crafting has been vestigial. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, you could craft, but there's not really any good reason to do so. In some cases. Again, in other cases, it's been great. As I've talked many times before, one of my moments of pride in this game was cooking, of all things, in Pandaria, which I felt not only made it worthwhile, but was always, but was actually enjoyable to do and raise. Am I going? Yeah, I'm going the right way. There must always be a craft king. See you around, Raskor. Or maybe I won't, but see you around one way or the other. There is one thing I really don't like about the current crafting system in Warlords, and that is the artificial time delay in making it. I mean, see, by my reasoning, that's unnecessary since we already have the you can only equip 3 limitation. So there's no reason to make crafted gear take forever. Hello, Seend. There's no reason to have the time delay when you already have the limited items you can equip. I mean, I'm okay with the limited equip thing or the time delay, but both just seem unnecessary. And it got to the point where I just was like, ugh, I don't feel like doing this anymore. I do like one very big thing about Warlords crafting, and that's the upgrade system. You make an item, and it's like, yeah! But then you can make an upgrade for it, which is like, yeah! And then you make an even bigger upgrade. And then a bigger upgrade. I like that. I like the fact that you can keep the gear relevant as you go, as you progress. So this, right here, is an Ogre. Whoa! Hello. You can kind of see why he's not quite Ogre and not quite Gron. There's a lot of talk that the Gron are actually a lot more connected to the Nagrand than we think. Not actually sure if that's true or not. I don't have any good information on that. He actually heard. Wow. Because the thing is, Gron in general and Ogron in general both have a lot of... They look like they're half elemental and half ogre, basically, right? Like they have that kind of connection to the elemental creatures. And Nagrand are pretty much flat out elemental creatures. You know, they're like 9 parts elemental, 1 part flesh or 1 part organic or whatever. Those would be the Sen Lane, Magister. So, what are you guys talking about? Is he? Yeah, he's right about there. There we go. I don't know if that's true or not. It is kind of an interesting thought to me because we are very, very certain that the Nagrand are Titan creatures in some way or another. I would argue that they are actually Titan creations, similar to the original Vrykul, or the original dwarves, or the original gnomes, right? Just my take on it. It just kind of fits, especially since the Nagrand in general have this big plan for the world that they are constantly following, and again, has some inclinations towards Titan processing, for lack of a better term to use. But I also really enjoy the idea that over time they've become less, for lack of a better term, less Titan and more fleshy. Because if you follow the chain from Nagrand to Gron to Ogren to Ogre, you can kind of see how by the end there they're fully flesh creatures, you know, the ogres. But if you, it's just I don't know, it's just cool. I don't know what else to say about that. Anyways, let's go and turn in this quest. Yeah, it sucks, Seend. I really wish I didn't have to, if I'm being blunt. I don't like having Nightbot security turned up, but it's already been necessary several times this Lorerun. And of course, this is WoW, the most likely thing that's going to be spammed. Anyways, so we have killed Chowar the Pillager. His head will be posted at the gates of Geradar for all to see. The ogres will think twice before interrupting sacred Maghari rituals. I say.
May your blades never dull.
Hang on, I think I'm the only mod in chat right now, so... 6... There you go. Yeah, we'll go and turn in first. We've also got... So, one of the cool things that happened in Vanilla was there was a demon hunter. I talked about him. Lorerun Thelapides. I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. And a lot of people were like, oh my god, there's a demon hunter in game. And of course, back in the day, they were all talking about how No, orcs are a totally separate species. Orcs are closer to an indigenous species of Draenor, whereas the ogres are if I am correct, that would make ogres a titan species, kind of similar to dwarves, again, to use the similarity. But orcs are closer to trolls, aka indigenous inhabitants, kind of like the Tauren as well. Lots of people were asking, Seen. What can I say? Anyways, how was it? Oh, so there was the Demon Hunter back in vanilla, and of course back in the day they were like, oh, we're going to add all these prestige classes and hero classes, and you're going to be able to play as Demon Hunters and Death Knights, and it'll be awesome. And we were all like, yes, we can't wait to play as Demon Hunters and Death Knights. And we didn't get Death Knights till Wrath, and we still haven't gotten Demon Hunters, but that's off the point. But every now and again we'd encounter a Demon Hunter, and it was always this big deal, like, oh, there's a Demon Hunter. And there's a Demon Hunter here as well. Altruis the Sufferer, I believe is his name. But either way, he's over here, and we'll be doing his quest in a little bit. We learn a bit from him about certain things that ironically will come back in Legion, because he discusses the group of elite individuals who are taught how to become a Demon Hunter by Illidan personally. Hey, look! See, for example, I just got a bot who's like, hey, you should pay us and go to our virus-riddled site in order to get more viewers. Really? Gurok! Gurok has betrayed the elements. Gurok must be summoned. You must summon Gurok and destroy. Go to Morma Hill, where the ogres worship Gurok. And... yes. Just making sure it's the right quest. I agree, by the way, Seen. While the graphics of WoW are old in many ways, I feel the aesthetics have aged quite well.
Hello, stranger.
The Watusun was able to shed the stink of corruption, but in doing so created a twisted spirit essence. A spirit essence composed of the vilest corruption found amongst the elements. You must find this polluted spirit and destroy it, and any corrupted offspring that it may have created.
Luck to you.
Well, okay. So in lore, the only demon hunters originally were all night elves. 100% of them. Because the only ones who were actually around for that training were high elves. It wasn't like it wasn't an exclusive club. It's just the only person who knew how to train demon hunters was Illidan himself, the first demon hunter. No one else has ever actually bothered to try and teach how demon hunting exists, right? And most of the students of Illidan don't know enough to train others to be demon hunters, okay? So all demon hunters in lore, and I mean literally all of them, are actually trained by Illidan, which is a nice little touch. But what happened is, most of his night elf demon hunters, the ones from the good old days, basically went off and did their own things. There are at least 3 of those that we will be encountering. We've already encountered one, or rather we're about to encounter one. I've talked about one. We'll actually be seeing Lorimus in Cataclysm. And then there's another one who will be in Felwood, and all 3 of those were actually followers, and again, some of the original students of Illidan. But here in Outland, Kael'thas sent some of his best and brightest blood elves. Oh, awesome, One Joker. I can't wait, what a deal. He sent his best and brightest blood elves to Illidan to be trained as demon hunters. Pardon me a moment. Okay, so, now the funny thing is this is an inconsistency or a bit of misinformation, and we're not actually sure which it is. I don't remember how to summon this guy. Yes, everyone is sick right now, Cashel. It sucks. There's actually this big virus going around the area here, and I am hopeful that I don't actually get that, because I've already got other issues going on in my life right now. So the inconsistency, and we'll discuss this as we get to Altruis, is, supposedly, according to Altruis, only 5 of the demon hunters survived training. Of those, only one of them actually went completely insane, and the others were actually ended up dying or succumbing to their their demonic side. That means only one Blood Elf demon hunter, supposedly, actually survived Illidan's training. Now, we know for a fact that's not true. First of all, because there are actually several in-training demon hunters who are Blood Elves at the Black Temple. But the other reason is because we can play a demon hunter who is a Blood Elf. So obviously at least some other demon hunters who were Blood Elves managed to survive the training. 7. Oh, jeez, I need to kill ogres. Why must I kill all the ogres? I don't want to kill ogres. I like ogres. Yes, it is very weird, Magister, and I think it is another instance of Alzheimer's. It's ridiculous, really. The good news is all these inconsistencies are going to dwindle significantly when we get out of BC. Because they really got a lot more. Even if they were still in the retconning thing in later expansions, they got a lot more consistent with it. So they would be self-consistent about those things, at least. God damn it. Must kill ogres. Must kill ogres. It is a nice note, though. One thing that is a little interesting bit of self-consistency is that Altruis actually references Leotheros, which I think is kind of cool. Demon Hunter. Easy answer, Night Forger. Easy answer. So, training to be a Demon Hunter is apparently really, really severe. There's a reason it has such a high fatality rate. You are very likely to die in training. Because what you're effectively doing is consuming and infusing fel energy into yourself, which already sounds like a really horrible, terrible idea, but doing so in a specific manner that prevents you from being influenced or affected by it, so you can control that fel energy and not be controlled by it. And if you know anything about fel, you know why that's such an incredibly dangerous, risky, and frankly insane thing to do. They can still see King Bubble, they just see differently. How would you put ruins on a lightsaber? On the hilt. Duh. They have to be really small, though, to fit on the hilt. So you have to be like, get a really good runesmith and be like, shh, 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 shh. Oh my god, every single ogre in here is dead. I hate other players. Get out of my single-player game. God. Which am I more likely to survive? Demon Hunter training. Demon Hunter training is about will and skill. Sith training is about being an unrepentant bastard while everyone else around you is trying to kill you. I am not an unrepentant bastard. I'm not the kind of person who is capable of being that much of a backstabber, so... yeah. Yeah, no kidding, Psychotic. I would be amazed if they don't. Which is funny, because, I mean, they're not even going to equip the things, and you can't transmog them, so... Unless they're finally lifting the rule on transmogging legendaries, which they really should. I mean, holy crap. No, they were Alliance. Say one Joker. See? Oh, that one was a Blood Elf. My bad. The other two I saw were Alliance. Alliance scum. I spit on the Alliance. Or wait, that's not the line. Oh, gotcha, Psychotic. Fun fact, I worked really hard and long to get both that and the shield for my warrior. This was before Transmog actually existed. I just wanted them for, you know, because they looked cool, kind of a thing. And then Transmog happened, and I was like, yes, I can finally have my cursed vision of Sargeras, but I can't because it's leather. Call me weird, but I'm one of those people who thinks we should unrestrain transmogs. I've heard the excuse for why they haven't done it, and it just rings hollow to me, personally. For those of you who haven't heard it, the excuse for why they will not unrestrain transmog is, well, we don't want people to be running around in cloth gear or in grays or whatnot. We think that just is silly. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but the comment was pretty derogatory. I have to be honest, from my personal perspective, I can't think of any good reason to restrain transmog. No, Zoan Joker, I have decided not to just because I hate you, and for no other reason whatsoever. I have the file downloaded and ready to go, but I prefer to just, you know, be a bastard like that. So, sorry, my bastarding ways have taken over. Now, okay, in the interest of fairness, it is entirely for PvP reasons. I could see why you'd want to do that. I'm going to take a moment here and complain about something. Please, please don't take this too personally. But I'm really goddamn sick of the fact that in every freaking MMO ever, PvP stuff nerfs PvE stuff, and PvE stuff nerfs PvP stuff. I'm really goddamn sick of it. Alright, got that off my chest. That's been a problem for years across multiple MMOs. I get so goddamn sick of, well, we could make this ability do this, but it's overpowered in PvP, and that's, you know, so we're gonna have to nerf it, even though that nerfs PvE. I really, really, really wish they'd pull a Guild Wars 1 and just finally segregate the two completely. Just let the PvP players be over there, let the PvE players be over there, so that we don't get hurt by them, and they don't get hurt by us. It's not that hard of a concept. And again, Guild Wars 1 did this years ago. This is not a new concept. And every time someone has been like, so wow, you know, talking to Blizzard devs, why don't you do this? Their response is so stupid. Well, we don't want players to be confused by how, you know, by having multiple tooltips for abilities that work differently under certain circumstances. So we're going to go ahead and continue to keep the two integrated. God, I hate that garbage. All right, got it off my chest. But yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, again, as was just pointed out, what, you know, so I was talking about why limit transmog? Why limit transmog? Have you not played Guild Wars 1, Zoan Joker? Because you can do PvE and PvP on the same character in Guild Wars 1. It's not, you know, it's not like you're restricted. It's just different. Alright, I'm just killing these. Anyways. So yeah, like, why, you know, the only reason that was offered for why it is that you should restrict transmog is for PvP. And that's it. That's the only reason that was given. Hey, Chase. And, again, it's really not that hard to have a situation where your transmog gear just isn't transmogged. In fact, Lotro does that. Lotro has certain areas and certain places you go to where you will not have whatever your cosmetic gear is on. It will not show your cosmetic gear. It will only show what you actually have equipped. It's not that hard to design that code-wise. So why not have it so anytime you're PvP flagged, period. So if you're in a battleground, you're in an arena, or if you're running around the world and you're just flagged, your transmog goes away. Bam! Problem solved. But no, we have to keep everything integrated. And it just irritates the snot out of me, and it has since vanilla. Yes, Lord of the Rings Online is the MMO I'm referring to. You know? Now that being said, I am hopeful for the PvP situation. I'm one of those people who looks at the changes they're doing to PvP and Legion, and I say, yes, yes, that's awesome. Keep doing that. Yes, it stands for transmogrification. It's cosmetic gear, basically. Now, the one Joker asked a valid question, which I actually want to address here. He said, what if you want to do both PvP and PvE? Simple answer to that. Guild Wars 1. For those of you who have not played Guild Wars 1, abilities literally work differently whether you're PvP'd or PvEing. So if you're wandering around the world, you know, your abilities will do A, and if you're actually in a PvP situation, your abilities will do B, right? So if you're flagged, or in a battleground, or in an arena, or whatever, your abilities function differently. And those that way they can balance them specifically for PvP, specifically for fighting other players. And the same goes in the reverse, too. So it's not that hard to segregate the two, such that even someone who does both can do both. And again, it goes back to that whole, you know, oh, well, we don't want to have two different tooltips because apparently our players are idiots. Okay. There's only two ranges of weapons anymore. Ranged and melee. So I should go and pick up this quest real quick. My organization, the Consortium, is looking for a few resourceful individuals like yourself. You'll be hard-pressed to find ethereals more honest, hardworking, or pleasant to be around than us. All we require is loyalty, dedication, and a reasonable amount of moral flexibility. If you're interested, speak with our operations leader. Okay. So, in the interest of playing devil's advocate here, to address why the Transmog PvP PvE thing exists, it's the Team Fortress 2 effect, okay? You want to be able to tell, just like that, what that person is. Yeah, what Psychotic just said. If you could transmog anything to anything in a PvP situation, you'd be able to hide who you are or what you are. So you wouldn't be able to tell that you're a tank or a warrior or whatever, because you could wear any gear, cosmetically speaking. So naturally, we're going to piss off the entire rest of the player base so that that can remain. This is why I say we just need to segregate the two and just be done with it. Why not make everyone happy? Oh my god. Ugh. Okay. Gordog, eat Gurok power. Gordog chomps down on Gurok's head, nearly disintegrating the stone formation. Gurok's reign come to end. The earth and elements are free. All sleep now. Champion gets reward. Whoops. I was already mounted. Whoops.
Live another day.
The elements sang of your victory the moment the disturbed essence was destroyed. The Earthen Ring thanks you and wishes to get a reward. Ooh, what do we got? Yeah, okay, we'll go and take those.
See you.
Alright, I need to do that. Let's go ahead and do these quests next. I agree with you on that, Magister. I'm not, like I said, I was just playing devil's advocate. I've made my opinion on this clear. But I am interested in trying to find a solution that helps everyone, not just me. And I still think that the whole, transmog doesn't work in PvP thing would be a good way to do that. That would also make sense, yes, the one Joker. I'm also okay with that. By the way, what the one Joker just said is already true. That's already in game. Any form of CC works differently on a player than it does on an NPC. So that's already in game. Why not just do that for everything? Why not just completely segregate it? Whatever. In fact, where's that ability? Okay, Repentance is a good example. Repentance, it doesn't say in the tooltip, but Repentance will CC an NPC for a minute. But against a player, it'll only CC them for, what, like 6 seconds or something like that? And of course, there's diminished returns in PvP, whereas there isn't in PvE. So, I mean, like I said, we're already kind of doing this. Well, like, there's no real hardcore problem, Leander. We are admittedly speculating. The only reason that the actual developers have given for why Transmog shouldn't be allowed for everything is because they think it would be stupid. That's the only reason that the developers have actually given. So that's why they have capped Transmog. In my opinion, that's not an answer. That's like saying, well, I'm not going to allow you to play, a warrior tank class who can DPS, because I think that's stupid. That's not a reason. So we were speculating on reasons why they would be doing the capping Transmog that don't involve stupidity. And the only thing we came up with was the PvP situation. So even if the devs actually think that, I've never heard any developer actually say, you can do this here, you can do this there. Anyways.
Speak, friend.
Oh, these ogres are extremely peculiar. They're also extremely stupid. Look how the fat one makes the lesser fat ones dance. It's kind of mesmerizing, actually. I've been watching these beasts for days. The fat one says he is waiting for something. What he's waiting for, however, is a mystery. I have a plan, but it's going to involve some violence on your part. You'll need to kill several of his subordinates. Oh, crap! We're back in Terakar. You'll need to kill several of his subordinates and then beat him within an inch of his life. Do this, and I'm certain he'll tell us everything we need to know. Yeah, speaking as someone who has put a lot of work into my Transmog, I am very proud of my Transmog suits. I haven't even finished all my Transmog suits because some of the pieces just haven't dropped yet. Or because I haven't found the time to work on them, one of the two. I give up. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Except I didn't actually mean to beat you yet, so... Well, I'll be right back. I need to kill some of your allies first. Die, Boulderfist. Die. If I could go off topic for just a second. Ogres exist in Primus, my D&D setting. And they're very intelligent. It's actually one of their racial traits that they have a high intellect. Now, you might be looking at me like, huh? One of their more cultural aspects is that people tend to assume that because they're big and relatively large creatures, that they're dumb, the big and dumb archetype. And the ogres have, over the last 3 centuries, developed a... Hey, Rodden. Hey, they've developed kind of a cultural lie, where most ogres will actively pretend to be stupid because people assume they're stupid. And they use that to their advantage and use that to influence and manipulate others around them. And I find that funny because even here in WoW, there's actually quite a few ogres who are actually quite intelligent. Yes, there are, of course, stupid ogres, just like there are stupid anybody. But even not counting the artificially infused ogres, there are some very fiercely intelligent and, as Psychotic points out, eloquent ogres. Cho'Gall is something of an exception, but I kind of want to save talking about him till later. Let me live. I tell you what you want to know. For many years, Boulderfist ruled all the ogres in Outland. The ogres were united under Thrall and content with the lands they were given. In the past few months, we have lost many ogres to a new clan called Warmaul. Warmaul has taken most of our land in Nagrand and killed many of our people. We had no choice but to take this town. We are being exterminated. Thrall has gone missing and Boulderfist is in turmoil. Lantressor of the Blade rules in his absence. Oh, yes, Fat Squeak, absolutely. I would say that's more common than not. Yes, Cho'Gall is in Heroes of the Storm. Whoa, slow down, Velvaxis. I'm just a lowly rogue. I have no idea what to do with such information. Take what you've learned and tell Joran at Garadar. I can assure you he won't be happy to know that our village was destroyed and many of our people killed because the ogres need more space. May the ancestors watch over you. I will be hiding in the bushes if you need anything else. Hey, Marley. Now, we've kind of already finished this quest arc because we did this a little bit out of order. But the War Maul was this clan up here that we just wiped out. The one led by the Ogre, who had enslaved the Nagrand. Ogre politics, basically, in a nutshell. Call me weird, but I actually like ogre politics. But I want to discuss that much more when we get to Warlords, where we'll be really getting into ogre politics. Now, I want to see if we can kill Corky really quick here. Aww! I can target him, but I can't actually attack him. Damn it. Sorry, guys. I can't kill Corky. I tried. I did my best. I did my best. Yeah, I didn't think we'd have that quest yet. The twin head. Yes, we want to go this way next. An ogre rogue. Well, we only see those under certain unique circumstances. Yes, we are in Outland. We are finishing up Nagrand, hopefully, soonish. I would like to get Nagrand and Blade's Edge Mountain both done today. Kind of get a little bit back on track with my schedule. Me being sick has really screwed me up over the last several days. It's screwed me up even now. Yeah. It is pretty awesome. Here's what it looks like up close, for anybody who's never actually seen it. Okay. That would be awesome, Leander. At least I think it would be. So let's turn in a few things. Hey!
What do you need?
I killed your guys. Oh no, I
Strength.
don't care about that quest.
Nagrand.
Ah, this is a great victory for the people of Ergaradar. Well done!
Be safe.
Let's go turn in these first.
Speak, friend.
Do this for us, because we cannot do it for ourselves. Ah! You've given the Lightning Sons hope, Valvaxis. If our leader will not protect us, perhaps there are others who are capable like you.
Go forth to victory. Loktar.
Farseer Korhuk stares at the ground, lost in contemplation. He nods his head. This is, by the way, in reference to Saurfang the Younger. And I quote, "The Son is the Father. May the spirits have mercy on those that stand in his way."
For the Horde.
I gotta be honest, I'm a little more worried about Saurfang the Younger himself. But anyways.
What do you need?
So we've brought the Murk Blood leader's head to him. Ah, this is the face of our enemy. I will have this put on a pike and placed outside Garrosh near the gates. Should they think to attack us again, they will see the consequences of their actions looking down upon them.
Strength.
Murk.
So they think that they are within their rights to displace and slaughter orcs on a whim, huh? I'm sure this had nothing to do with our leader being an impotent whelp. If only he had a fraction of the passion his father had. Ogres are moved by one thing. Might. That's not quite true. If we expose ourselves to them as being weak, they will take advantage of that and wipe us out. Garrosh might be willing to lie down and let the ogre dogs take our land, but I am not. I need you to deliver a message to the Boulderfist, the only type they are capable of understanding. Brutality. Travel to the Burning Blade ruins and kill them all.
Nabu.
So let's turn into idiot. I mean Garrosh. How different would history go if I just kind of got behind him here and kicked him right into the fire? Just...
Thrall, huh?
What does it matter? The Greatmother is dying. Life is not worth living.
Dabu.
Ding. But I don't want Garrosh in my ding picture, so we're gonna, like, take it over here or something. I mean, if I just one kick, that's all I'm asking. Just shove him into the... I will point this out, by the way. Even this early on, when Garrosh was a fresh character, which we basically knew nothing about, he is still someone who doesn't have a strong central core to himself. But I'll talk a lot more about Garrosh later. If you're venturing into the Burning Blade ruins, I have a task for you. Take these Magharp battle standards and place them at 3 distinct locations. An area of high visibility is recommended. The standard will leave a lasting impression on any ogres who have missed the battle.
Be safe.
Okay, I can do that.
Greetings.
A being riding a Nether Drake arrived in town last week. He introduced himself as Altruis and proceeded to ask us several questions about Nagrand. He claimed he was hunting Legion. That's such insanity was actually his job. Can you imagine a person that would willingly hunt demons? Before he left, he asked that we send any would-be heroes in town to know that he will be staying in Western Nagrand for a while, and should they seek a purpose, to find him.
Strength.
And yeah, everyone else got there before I did Lapstick. So let's talk about Garrosh briefly. What I mean by he has no central core is he has no actual self. There's nothing that he actually believes in. There's nothing that he cares about. There's nothing that is really truthful within himself. He literally has a low willpower score, to put it into such terms. So everything about him is always influenced by external sources. If you watch Garrosh's character arc throughout all of the expansions up to Pandaria, hell, even including Warlords, everything he does is because someone else influenced him to think in that particular direction. This is actually probably my favorite time of this is when he agrees to the challenge, the duel with Cairn, because he's told it's this ancient orcish tradition that he has no idea what it is. But the fact that it's this orcish tradition means it must matter, it must be something important, and therefore I will agree to it. And he does it in total ignorance, which is one of the reasons why Magatha is able to manipulate those events towards her end. Also, I'd just like to say, as much vile and just horribleness I spit at Garrosh, Magatha is so much worse. I hate her. She might be my most hated character in this entire setting, and that's saying something. Yeah, he has no backbone. That's a good way to put it. He just does whatever other people around him say is important. He just trusts them on it. It's like, well, for example, Sourfang says that we must retain honor. Therefore, he will retain honor. And, giving in to warlocks and demons is terrible. So therefore, we must never give in to demons and warlocks. We'll do worse. We'll give in to old gods and torture and horrible, despicable acts, but no demons, because demons are bad. And so forth and so on. Basically, everything he does can be traced back to that simple ideal. I would be astonished if Garrosh has any self-esteem at all, and I mean that sincerely. He also tends to blame others for his actions, most notably when he actually, he does this several times, but he actually flat out blames Thrall for all the horrible things he did. I mean, really? I actually... So, for those of you not aware, forgive me for pontificating on something that you don't care about. I apologize. Some of you know what the Imperium is. For those of you who do not, I have a collected work of works, written works, that I have written over the course of basically my entire life. They are all part of one contiguous canon. They're all part of the same continuity, right? That continuity is referred to as the Imperium. So, a lot of fictional settings that are not of my own divination, I tend to write into the Imperium. Not all of them, but several, to mingle and counteract with my own original works, right? So, of course, World of Warcraft, or I should say Warcraft in general, is in the Imperium. I mean, naturally, it's a Nexus world. It makes sense. And, of course, I love this setting to death, so, naturally. You are just evil, aren't you, Zoan Joker? My god, man. That's just hateful. Now, Varian, he needs to die. I bring all this up because I had a story, a short story, really, about one of the main characters who was going through this whole series of this story from BC all the way up to Pandaria. And by the time we get to Pandaria, all of this horrible, terrible, disgusting, just atrocious things that have happened because of Garrosh is so... It weighs on this character. It's a she. Her name is Zalash. It weighs on her terribly. She feels so guilty and so angry, mostly at herself, because in the story, and this is kind of true, she uplifted Garrosh. I mean, you could say whatever you want about Thrall doing here, and Thrall certainly carries some of the blame. But the player character, a.k.a. Zalash in this case, is the one who actually went through and saved all these people and helped the Magcar to find a new future and basically uplifted Garrosh from his position staring into a fire so that he would accomplish all the horrible, terrible things he did. She became so distraught over these events, she literally left the planet as a result of it, because she felt she no longer deserved to be here because of the fact that she had made such a terrible, horrifying mistake, and so many people had paid the price for her arrogance. So anybody wondering why I bothered to dump the money on renaming my character Zalash, that's why, because Zalash is gone. I mention it, though, because I sometimes wonder exactly how guilty Thrall feels, because he does share in some of that blame. I think at least part of that is because Thrall idolizes Grom. And in here, Zoan Joker, I actually do have a bit of written works, but they're like on my computer and in my closet over there. Thrall idolizes Grom, and I kind of get why. And Grom certainly did redeem himself in the end, but Thrall tends to romanticize Grom. He tends to forget that Grom did a lot of really terrible, horrible things, and did a lot of those things willingly and without hesitation. So he tends to look at Grom as if he was this great, wonderful leader of amazing. And I feel like him constantly whispering those words, oh, you know what I mean, him constantly talking to his son about how, his father was this incredible, amazing person, probably didn't help the situation at all. Because then Garrosh sought desperately to live up to his father. And of course, because he has no sense of self, he then took those words and said, my father was a great, amazing man. And then when he learns about all the horrible things Grom does, he says, got it. Doing horrible, terrible things makes me an amazing man. Because again, no strong core. I need to do this quest. I have Zoan Joker, but I don't know how many of you have actually looked into how disgustingly horrible publishing companies are, but they're disgustingly horrible. So my only choice to do so would be to do so through like Amazon or whatever. And also, I am really, really self-conscious about my written works, so I honestly don't think they're good enough to be released. Agreed, King Bubble. I agree with that idea. Good question, Leander. Possibly. Admittedly, Garrosh is a weird situation. He's a very well-written character. I've said this many, many times. Janine! He's kind of an interesting combination of a despicably horrible person who also happens to have had all the cards stacked against him. You know what I mean? Like, that man has to own up for what he did. He chose to be a despicable, horrible, evil bastard. But, at the same time, a lot of what the specifics that he did are because of the way he was taught, or the way he was raised, or the way people interacted around him, and so forth and so on. And so it's debatable that Garrosh could have been redeemed, turned into a decent person, turned into a good leader. Well, no, that's a lie. I would never think Garrosh would be a good leader. Because he is, in fact, a provably terrible leader. He is absolutely disgustingly bad at tactics and at actually being charismatic. But one thing he is good at is being a soldier. Garrosh is probably the example of a warrior in this setting. The only other person who qualifies there, in my opinion, I guess two people. There's Varian, who is quite a bit of a warrior himself, and I forget his name, the guy who actually wounded Sargeras. I can't remember his name, forgive me. And Garrosh is just... Yeah, we'll see how much of a warrior that guy is, and he would have been a great frontline soldier. Like an elite soldier, even. But not a general, and certainly not a war chief. Broxigar, thank you. That was his name, Broxigar. Got you, Janine. We're trying to finish up. We're trying to finish up Nagrand right now, Janine. And then we're going to hit Blade's Edge Mountains. Yay! Yeah, Broxigar the Red, I'm trying to think of a good time to talk about him, because he's never in the game at all. Broxigar, I guess since we've brought him up, we'll go ahead and talk about him now. Broxigar was the brother of Saurfang? Am I getting that relation right? Shoot. By the way, I would absolutely say that Saurfang would have made an excellent war chief. I would have gladly followed that man. That is true, Leander. Doesn't make it right, but it is true. Alright, now my turn. So, Tequoida, that depends on which you define as which. The reason I say soldier and not warrior is because I'm playing WoW and warrior's a class in WoW. But what I mean by that is someone who is on the front lines, someone who is actually fighting the fights, and actually accomplishing the really hard missions, the stuff that you can't otherwise, you can't send a regular individual to go do it. You need someone who's damned good, and that is admittedly Garrosh. He is a damned good fighter, warrior, whatever you want to call it. Yes, basically, Venters, the out-of-character answer for that. And I agree. Like I said, Hylisk, I think that as much as Garrosh has to own up for what he did of his own volition, we could have turned him into something amazing. But anyways, Broxigar, right? I don't have a lot of lore to talk about Broxigar. This is probably a good time to talk about Ronin as well, while I wait here for this. These are all, like, all of these people are Horde. So I'm just going to get some invites going here, so we can share. In a book which I don't like, to put that as nicely as I can, there's a okay, so there's a book about the War of the Ancients. And in that book, to summarize, several people go back in time to the actual moment of the War of the Ancients, Broxigar and Ronin being the two most important ones involved. And Ronin is, of course, Ronin. But Broxigar is basically the warrior. Some people argue that Broxigar is the single most powerful, skilled, and generally best warrior in the entirety of Warcraft. Whether that's true or not is a little bit more debatable, of course. But I actually personally don't think Broxigar is the best warrior in the setting. Just my personal opinion on the matter. But part of that is tainted by the fact that I really don't like those books. I just invited you, dude. Here. As I say, if you're going to be a dick about it, I'll just take the tag from you. Anyways. But Broxigar was what we would call a tank warrior, except he wielded a two-handed weapon. But his mentality, his mindset was the sole soldier, the one guy who goes out and fights an army. That was basically Broxigar's perspective. And of course he had Gorabal, the amazing Axe of Doom. The most noteworthy thing to share about Broxigar is the fact that when they were reaching a critical point, when they were trying to shut down the Well of Eternity, and the portal that was being opened by the Well of Eternity was almost big enough for Sargeras to come through. So on the other side, Sargeras was right there, just waiting. And so Broxigar knew he had to buy them time in order to finish closing the well. So he charged through and started just mass slaughtering demons. Again, one guy against a whole army. That's the kind of fighting style he was good at. So he just goes in and starts massacring the hell out of the demons and actually wounds Sargeras. There we go. Thanks for the group, guys. And he actually wounds Sargeras, which is probably... oh, Gorabal is the sword? What's the name of the axe, then? Damn it, man. Hang on, I gotta look this up now. Blah, 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 blah. It's not saying the name of his axe. Whatever, he's got this big axe of doom. He managed to use this axe to actually attack and actually do damage to Sargeras. Which is, of course, very noteworthy. He is actually the only mortal ever to actually attack and assault a Sargeras. Again, ever. Which is why most people revere the heck out of him for that act. And I can't blame them. I mean, holy crap, man. Now, Ronin, who we'll talk about as we're traveling back to town, Ronin is a very classic example of a Mary Sue. I've discussed the concept of the Mary Sue many times in my show, most notably over on Voyager, where it comes up frequently, or came up frequently. It hasn't been a thing for a while. And the Axe of Cenarius, okay, sure. So, I have to admit, I tend to be very hesitant to label something a Mary Sue, because it's a title that's thrown around just a little bit too much. And in some cases, some people will say, well, this character's a Mary Sue just because they don't like them. Or, this character's a Mary Sue just because they don't like the fact that they're winning, you know. Some people like to throw that title around a little bit too much, is what I'm trying to say. Sargeras did kill Broxigar, of course. I mean, why wouldn't he? Anyways, so Ronin, however, I think pretty classically fits the Mary Sue definition. He's good at absolutely everything. He's loved by everyone. He's the most powerful everything of everything. But all of those don't really fully get the Mary Sue-ness of Ronin across. The reason Ronin is a Mary Sue is because he doesn't earn any of that. I've talked about this before. In my opinion, the biggest definition between a character who is very, very skilled or adept at something and a character who is a Mary Sue is the one who is the Mary Sue didn't earn it. They didn't do anything to make that happen. They didn't go through hell and back and crawled their way up from nothing in order to accomplish that. Ronin was always amazing. Ronin was always beloved by everyone. Ronin was always the best at everything, and he's just... So he just goes back to the Night Elves, and the Night Elves are like, you are awesome. Like, almost immediately. These people who never even seen a human before, oh, you are awesome. Ah, you're amazing. You know, just... That is the definition, in my opinion, of a Mary Sue. So I would argue Anduin is not a Mary Sue, not just because I love the character, but because of the fact that Anduin actually has gone through hell and back and has been trying to fight for what he cares about and believes in, despite the fact that he keeps losing it. Thrall, I don't think, is a Mary Sue most of the time. Gotta add that asterisk. Because he has crawled his way up, and he has earned his way to the fact where he has the strength he has, and has the shamanistic power he has, and he has the general significance of the story he has, and so forth and so on. That is, of course, just my opinion. It is not the only valid one. But Ronin is just so Mary Sue. It's blatant and obvious and ridiculous. Who is that? Is it one? That would actually be really funny, Leander, because there's another character who did exactly that. Ashara, the High Queen. Now, I have postulated that she's ugly. I don't know if that's true or not, because it just amuses me, the idea that Ashara, who is literally world-renowned for being the most beautiful creature ever, was actually ugly. And she was just illusioning it to make herself look amazing. But whether that's true or not, we do know for a fact Ashara was constantly influencing those around her to basically worship her, to revere her more than she otherwise would be. So it wouldn't be too far out of bound to say that she also had the illusion spell on, in addition to the, you will bow before me thing. And I can agree with that again, Takoida. Maybe she could be, considering Ashara's personality, it wouldn't surprise me if she was actually very, very beautiful. But she's the kind of character who would look in the mirror and see this gorgeous woman and think, that's not good enough. I should be better than that. I should be more than that. And so, then have this illusion spell to make her look just ridiculously, beautifically incredible, Oh, we are not... Screw that guy. That guy is totally a Mary Sue. I'm just going to go ahead and say him. The one Joker is referring to a character called Madan, who is, as he points out, a priest, shaman, paladin, mage, who is also a bastard. I guess that technically means literally, but one of the biggest things that I have to say against Madan is the fact that even the creators and writers of WoW have looked at Madan and said, no, I don't think we're going to use him. We don't want him to be in our game. If you pay attention, Madan is, I think, referenced once in all of WoW. And I'm not even 100% sure of that. It would be in the Twilight Highlands, if at all, when you speak with Garona. I think she references her son. I think that's it, though. Yeah, Madan is absolutely, unquestionably a Mary Sue. He just shows up and he's great at everything, and he's beloved by everyone, and he does stuff that's actually never been done in the setting before because he's just that good. He pretty much personally took down Cho'Gall and an old god's avatar by himself. Yeah. For those curious, Madan is literally half human, quarter Draenei, and quarter orc. Anyways, let's go ahead and turn to some quests here. Respect from fear. It is as good as any other kind. Perhaps you like another task. The Boulderfist have moved the supplies they stole from our village to the twin clefts of Nagrand. While you're in the area, keep an eye out for supply crates.
May your blades never dull.
I can do that.
How?
Now, directly west of here you'll find Halani Basin. Within the basin are twin clefts. Northwind and Southwind. The Boulderfist shock troops use the clefts to hide their ogre mounds. I need you to track down these troops and kill all you encounter.
For the Horde!
In the name of the Horde.
Speak, friend.
See you around, Banath.
For the Horde.
You have destroyed two of the biggest threats in Nagrand, Valvaxis. Are you ready to take on the Scourge of the Spirit Fields? Durn the Hungerer, lords over the area surrounding Ashagun, decimating all in his path. Thus far, none have been able to rid Nagrand of this ferocious Gron. Okay, I can go take him on.
May your
I
blades
got
never
this.
dull.
Well, that's a tough question, Hylisk. Because my immediate answer to you, if you'd asked me without that additive, would just be to say, well, it's just bad writing. Because it is. It is just bad writing to introduce a Mary Sue character like that. And the most often reason most writers do that is because most writers either don't want to or don't know how to establish a character who is beloved and skilled and powerful without just snapping their fingers and make them that. So it's just, here we are, I'm this amazing, beloved, amazing character. They don't know how to do the establishment. They don't know how to build them up. And I have played a few, Ricky. None of the ones that you're listing, though. That's an odd question out of the middle of nowhere, but, you know, I take my questions as they come. So I think that that's the main reason. It's literally lack of skill on behalf of the writers, which I know sounds like I'm saying bad writing. But you're probably asking, well, what's the point of them? Well, again, the point is the same point that is if you are trying to make a character who is like that, who's done properly. In other words, if you want to have a character who is capable of doing stuff. You want a character who is capable of accomplishing things. You know, you want a character who can move and shake the foundations of the setting, change the status quo, that kind of a thing. And that requires a character who's either very well liked, or very intelligent, or very powerful, or whatever. One of the other more common methods of preventing a character from being a Mary Sue is to make them flawed. Can anyone tell me Ronin's flaws? Anyone? Anyone got a flaw for Ronin? I'm not talking about out of character. In character. You may blame the one Joker for that, Ricky. Can anyone name a flaw in Madan to really help hammer the point in? The nose. The point I'm trying to get across here is there really isn't at least in the books, I should stress that, at least in the books where Ronin was starring, he was designed to not have any flaws. He was just this amazing, incredible character. Oops. And Madan is another good example of that. Madan's flaws don't exist. He's just this amazing guy, orc, who's also a human, who's also Draenei, who's good at everything and beloved by everyone. He was even given the mantle of guardianship as a child. You know. Now, just to name a kind of a weird example of what I'm talking about. Here's a character that is extremely flawed. This is not a Warcraft character, but he's extremely flawed. But he's, you know, if it wasn't for his flaws, he might qualify as a Mary Sue. Voldemort. Voldemort is brilliant and skilled and talented and incredibly powerful. That's actually one of the biggest things about Voldemort is he has so much raw magical potential at his back. It would be very easy for him to turn into a Mary Sue villain, if not for the fact that he was an incredibly flawed individual. You know what I mean? In many ways, Voldemort defeated himself because of how messed up he was in the head. Ronin is dead as of this point in time. Spoiler alert. It's okay, though, because Ronin died gloriously, saving someone else, as all Mary Sues should. I didn't know nose usage was relevant to evil, so what does that make Ronin? Because he has this big honkin' schnauzer right in front of his face. Well, it's funny you say that, Hylisk. I was going to talk about that topic, too. Some people have asked, you know, why is it the player character isn't considered a Mary Sue? Now, obviously, sometimes they are. But my personal take on it is, again, it goes back to that earning it thing. We have earned how ridiculously powerful we are in lore, in character. We started at level 1, and we crawled our way up, fighting, you know, rats and boars and getting bear asses, so we could get to the point, eventually, over significant periods of time, where we are the people who, the actual leaders of the setting, come to us for our advice. You know what I mean? So that's my take on that. We have basically earned the right to be that powerful, to be the heads of the setting, like we are pretty much as of... Well, I shouldn't say pretty much, but we are definitely as of warlords. Well, considering Medivh has basically retired, Little Billy, we don't know exactly. There are several theories about that, and a lot of those have to do with Khadgar, since Khadgar has a Tish for some reason. Yeah, I think I'm just going to blow this and get out of here. That sounds like an excellently flawed character to me, Ricky. That's true, we've been literally scooping feces since vanilla. Yeah, let's do this quest next. I guess my final thought here is that I tried really, really hard not to toss out the words Mary Sue. I tried not to just call someone that. It is a huge insult. It is actually one of the worst insults that I've heard of when it comes to fiction in general. To call a character a Mary Sue is basically to say that it's not a character. That it's this terrible, awful, non-character who doesn't even deserve to be considered as existing. You know? So I try really hard not to use that term, unless I really mean it. Every now and again I do really mean it. Madan, cough, cough. But yeah. Or Janeway in the episode Coda. Just in that one episode. Well, Zawan, he came back, and they said, "You are awesome!" So they turned him into the leader of the Kirin Tor. You probably think I'm joking. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but that's basically what happened. Oh, Ronin, you are so awesome. Come, lead us to glory and victory. Those are Murk Blood, Hylisk. Okay, so this is actually kind of an interesting thing to talk about. So these Murk Blood were invaders. These guys actually patrol a huge swath of territory from right around here all the way up to the road into Zangarmarsh. What, Kay? In that episode, she was distinctly a Mary Sue. You can't even argue that. In the episode Coda, Janeway has like a 5-minute funeral where they all talk about how amazing she was. This is a Season 2 episode. These people have known this woman for less than 2 years. And yet, oh, Janeway was amazing and wonderful and incredible. Oh, it's just such a shame that she's gone, and she was the best. And incredible. Probably psychotic. Anyway, so these invaders patrol from Zangarmarsh down here. For those of you not aware, see you around, Ricky. The Murk Blood actually had a power base up here in Zangarmarsh. I mentioned that before. And they have been stretching their hands down into Nagrand, to Sunspring Post, and to the Windy Reed Village over there. So these invaders are just basically reinforcements. So these reinforcements have been strolling down here to add more to their forces so they can take this land from both the Broken of Talador and the Maghar of Garadar. And we killed the crap out of them. You know, Kay, I can't agree with you on that, but I will say this. I like the episodes where she is definitively not. Like Workforce. Just comes to mind immediately. That was a great... And Night was another good one for that. And then there was the episode... What's the episode where there's that pseudo-Q being? And she's overworking herself because she's a terrible leader. I'm trying to think of the name of that episode. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Actually, we didn't really break the Murk Blood that much. If you were paying attention, Hylisk, we never really went to war against them. The most we did was we were like, "Hey, you should rejoin the Draenei," and they said no. And we fought against a few of them, but for the most part, the only group we actually took out was the one tribe, the Poisoner guys in the far northwest corner. The other tribes we left alone, and we probably should have, gone to war with them then, because obviously they're causing us problems now. So, these are the ethereals. I really want to save most of my discussion about the ethereals later, but there's one thing that's important, which I'll talk about as soon as I read these quests. So, Nexus Prince Haramad has ordered us to not begin working inside of Ashagun, as it might put in anger a certain powerful Naru. Sort of puts a damper on our operation. I think I found a loophole, however. You see, we're not the only ethereals drawn to this colossal diamond. A thief named Gavaxi has led a band of rogue ethereals into Ashagun, and they've been dislodging fragments from it. Your job is to go kill them and retrieve what is rightfully ours. I know you do, Kay. I read your comments. Believe it or not. I'm just going to read this quest, but not do it. Ivory is a much sought-after prize. I have many customers lined up in very far-off places to purchase it. I could be convinced to let you in on a cut of the profits. The wild Elk roaming Nagrand have the high quality of tusks I'm after. Steer clear of the bull Elk. Their ivory isn't in the condition I desire. Oh, and don't worry, I'm not poaching. I have an understanding with both the orcs and the Draenei. Do you and I have an understanding? That is very ethereal, by the way. And also, I just like the idea that certain somewhat mundane things would be valued across the multiverse. Also, this is actually a portal device, this thing right here. It enables you... it's just one more thing to emphasize just how technologically advanced the ethereals are. That they have casual teleportation. I mean, they're not the only ones who have teleportation power or magic, but they can do it just like that. They just have to set up a new thing and... bzz. Gez chose to base our operations as close to Ashagun as possible, without any regard for the safety of our crew. Why? Well, because he projected a 10% increase in productivity by setting up shop here instead of the mountains to the south. Never mind the crazed void spawn wandering 10 feet from us. That would be security officer's problem, not his. If you kill some void spawn for me, I'll pay you 1/10 of our security budget. Don't get excited. It's not much of a budget. Me too, Hylisk. I think a lot of people would like ethereals being playable. It's really not that out of bounds to consider an ethereal being a player character, too. There are lots of varieties of ethereals. The presence of rogue ethereals in this area might amuse Gez, who sees nothing but opportunity wherever we go, but it's a true threat to the security of our operations. Their leader, Gavaxi, is a dangerous criminal, and I've made it my top priority to see he is neutralized. If you're going to make yourself useful, go take care of him, and I will see that you are rewarded properly. So now is a good time to finally talk about Ashagun and a character's name who I wrote down right here. K'ure. So, this is Ashagun. This giant chunk of crystal. It is the largest chunk of diamond in the entire setting, supposedly. That information comes from the ethereals, but considering how much time they have spent traveling across the various planets and dimensions, they would probably know. It's also really, really, really big. I just wanted to get up here to give you an idea of the scope and size of this thing. So, Ashagun, like I said, is a ship. I forget the proper name of the ship. Forgive me. It's a Naru ship. Vessel, whatever you want to call it. Spaceship. Doesn't matter. And it's a Naru ship whose biggest purpose was to save the Draenei. This is the ship that the Naru took the Draenei on when they first came to this world, about 230 years prior to Year Zero. So I guess that'd be like 260 years ago as of now. That's how big this thing is in lore. If you think it looks big right now, in lore it's even huger. It's basically a mountain of diamond. But of course the Naru use crystalline technology, so all of that diamond has, for lack of a better term, circuitry built into it all over the place, which enables them to utilize it and control it. And again, whether it's a dimensional ship or a spaceship, that's up to you to decide. It doesn't matter. So, several of the ethereals look at this colossal diamond and they're like, oh, yes, yes, we will have incredible wealth and riches for taking this place. Probably my favorite aspect of the ethereals is Nexus Prince Haramad, aka the leader of the Consortium. Hi, Kemek. Haramad is probably the ethereal who has the most of a brain. And he probably also is the best way to explain the ethereal mindset. So yes, he could mine this massive, huge crystal. He even sent people to do so. However, he then almost immediately sent orders to rescind that operation. Why? Because of the fact that this is a Naru ship. And there's also a Naru still inside there right now. Ku'ure, the one I just mentioned. Now, Ku'ure is basically tied in with the ship. I know that sounds kind of weird. Anybody who's played Homeworld kind of knows what I'm talking about here, the Unbound. In other words, Ku'ure can't actually leave the ship. He's stuck in there. And is going to be stuck in there until certain horrible things happen. Now, when the ship came here, something happened and it basically crash-landed here. We don't 100% know what happened. Ku'ure was injured in that action. Ku'ure has actually been dying ever since. This is why there are void spawn all over the place around Ashagun. For those who don't know, Naru, their natural life cycle leads towards an extreme of light and then resets itself to an extreme of dark, and then kind of travels the path between the two. So Ku'ure has been slowly basically becoming a void creature over the last 260 years, as he's been inside there, injured. Again, he was mortally wounded by the crash. Pardon me. Now, he was not actually the only Naru who was present on that ship, obviously, I guess. But there were two other really important ones, K'ara and D'Ore. Forgive me for the pronunciation. That is apparently how you're supposed to pronounce Naru names. They actually say it a couple times. In Homeworld, the Unbound are those who have basically been merged with their ships. So they can't be unmerged with their ships. They're, you know, their ship is basically their body at that point in time. Yes, Minarek, this is live. Hopefully that answers your question. I haven't seen Dern lately. Anyways, so, Ashagun. Now, Ku'ure is the one in there. Now, Ku'ure's, like I said, he's been here for a few hundred years. Again, about 260 years. He's spent almost this entire time trying really hard not to interact with the orcs. And that's completely failed. To explain what I mean by that a little bit, the orc ancestors in the area, because of the fact that he was a dying Naru, and therefore leaning towards the void was drawing in orc ancestors into this area. It gets really bad, actually. Hey, game over. And by what I mean by really bad is, when it first started, what would happen is ancestors would just kind of be drawn to this general vicinity. By now, by this point in time, the ancestors, the ancestral spirits, aka the dead, have actually been drawn in, are basically being consumed by the void that's within there, that Ku'ure is becoming. And he can't actually stop it. There's nothing he can do about it. He's just stuck eating ancestral spirits without wanting to or desiring to. That's a good question. Maybe it's here? Aha, here you go. Auto open loot rolls window, maybe? No. Interrupt and click? No. I have no idea, Jengies. I know I have an add-on that does it on my actual characters. So 2 other Naru were damaged by this ship crash landing into this area from space. Those were Ka'ara and Deore. Now, Deore was actually flat out killed. Just flat out died in the incident. And became a being of pure void. As you do, basically. Deore, his death actually had some really significant consequences. They actually had to go through significant efforts in order to ensure... Where the hell is this guy? To ensure that that would not cause some significant deleterious effects to the area. So what they did, the Draenei, in honor of Deore and all that... we don't know, Hylisk. I'll talk about that in just a second. So Deore, they quickly went through this whole process to seal him away inside this brand new building that they constructed further east of here. It was going to be a mausoleum that was dedicated towards just keeping Deore and other Draenei who die on this planet there. This mausoleum is, of course, referred to as Auchindoun. So Auchindoun was actually originally built to be a Naru crypt, not a Draenei crypt. Yes, Dakoita. Its gravity field is bounced off of the deflector dish, and I don't know. I got nothing. Come on. There we go. Hey, Mind Blast. What's up? Alright, I'm still looking for Dern. So yeah, in answer to Hylisk's question, Hylisk asks, do the Void Naru become malevolent? Well, we don't actually know. We only interact with one, technically 2 Void Naru ever. One is actually Ka'ara. Oh, there he is. And the other is Ma'uru. Now, Ma'uru attacked us on sight, but Ma'uru attacked us on sight before he was a Void creature. And he was influenced and controlled by Kil'jaeden to do so. And it's also worth noting that that was basically part of the overall plan of Ma'uru. Exactly, like Psychotic said, exactly. So it's very possible that Ma'uru was actually just acting out of benevolence the entire time, attacking us so we would kill him, so he would be able to reignite the Sunwell, so the Blood Elves would be redeemed. That could have been part of that whole plan. In fact, I would argue it was part of that whole plan. The other one was being controlled by the Shadowmoon orcs. That would be Ka'ara. And therefore was not in any way deliberately being antagonistic towards us. So the only 2 instances we see of Void Naru are either pretending to be evil or being coerced to be evil. So we don't actually know the answer to that question. Okay, so I suppose I'll go ahead and talk about Ka'ara really quick. But first I'll turn in some quests. You bring a smile to my face, Velvaxis. Or rather you would, if I had a face. We won't have to worry about Gavaxi anymore, thanks to you. Let's arrange for your reward. Yes, give me my reward. There we go. So that's actually kind of it for the Consortium quest here. This is why I wanted to talk about Ashagun now. Last one I want to talk about before we leave Ashagun, really quick here. There is, I mentioned there were 3 Naru who were injured during the crash. Ka'ure, who was bound to the ship and is still there, dying. Actually, you know what? That's a good idea. Deore, who was the one who died and was in Auchindoun. Fun fact: there's actually a quest chain which we will actually not be doing, where you can go through and basically redeem Deore. When I say redeem, though, to clarify what I mean by that, we see Deore be reignited as a creature of light, a Naru, rather than a creature of the void. By the way, this is what it looks like on the inside of the ship. But Ka'ara is the one I really want to talk about. A fun fact, there's actually a very good chance that Ka'ara is actually where Karabor's name comes from, along with a couple of other things I won't discuss here. So Ka'ara was lost into orbit, basically. It literally was ejected from the ship because it died in mid-transit and had a rather violent, horrible transition into a void creature. Kind of like what happens with Naru. So, as it was ejected, it basically started orbiting the planet as like a miniature moon of void. It was referred to by the orcs as the Dark Star. And as you can see, there's actually several orc ancestors in here, which the Kill Sorrow and the Sorrow are trying to manipulate and utilize for their own ends, because they're evil. That's what you do. So yeah, this place is a lot more contained than the Exodar. We also don't see nearly as much of this as we do the Exodar. Again, in lore, this is the size of a mountain, and so is actually gargantuan. Well, I was going to say, we don't actually know where Ka'ara is in our timeline. There's a couple of possibilities, since Ka'ara was orbiting Draenor, and Draenor got shattered into the Nether, so it's possible Ka'ara is just floating out in space somewhere, or that he was dragged into, excuse me, she. She's the only Naru referred to as a she. It's possible that she was dragged into the Twisting Nether as well, and therefore is just in the Nether somewhere. We don't actually know. We do know what happens to the alternate Ka'ara, but we'll get to that later. You might wonder why I'm bothering to kill all these guys who I don't even have a quest to kill. Because there is Ka'ure. I wanted to actually show you him. Now you can see two things about him. First of all, you notice his coloration is getting darker. I pointed this out. The coloration is getting darker. I've pointed out a few other Naru who are basically in this state where they're slowly starting to, die. And of course, he is much smaller than most of the other Naru are. Both of which indicate kind of his ailing health, for lack of a better term. I have to admit, I feel really bad for Ka'ure, since he is literally just trapped here. And as you can see, several of the Shadow Council were trying to control him, to no avail, admittedly, but then just using his void energies in order to try and summon more spirits here because they're evil. We've already discussed that. So you prefer how they look when they're dying. Am I understanding that correctly, Kay? The only good Naru is a dying Naru. Azeroth does have at least one moon that I'm aware of. I think it has 2 moons. The only moon that matters, though, is the one that everyone thinks Elune is. I want to talk about Elune later, but since we're talking about the Naru, this is kind of a good segue. There's a very strong theory that's been gaining support as the expansions go on that Elune is actually a Naru. If so, that would completely throw several things into question. For the longest time, everyone has been assuming that Elune is the one and only actual deity in the entire setting. Because everything else that has claims to being a deity is provably not. The Titans are just very advanced creatures. The old gods are just very advanced, very powerful creatures, etc., etc. There's no other thing that is actually has claimed to deityhood other than Elune, which was the one creature that everyone was like, yes, she is definitely an actual deity. But if she's a Naru, then she clearly isn't a deity, because the Naru are very definitively not deities, just like the other things I just mentioned. Now, it's funny in its own right, because Valen is probably our biggest thing. Valen actually had Elune described to him, and his automatic reaction was, I've encountered creatures like that before, because everything that was described to him as he perceived it was that of a Naru, and Valen has a lot of experience with the Naru. When he mentioned that, he was rebuked so violently that it was basically, if you ever bring this up again, we may actually attack you. You know how Night Elves are. I mean, try to tell a Night Elf that they used to be a troll, and they'll probably attack you. It's that kind of a thing. So Valen dropped the issue. I mean, he's trying to make friends with these people, after all. But there's a few other little tidbits of evidence here or there that kind of lean in that direction as well. Regardless, let's talk to Altruis the Sufferer. Quick note, this is a Nether Drake. We'll be talking about the Nether Drakes more when we get to both Blade's Edge Mountains and when we get down to Shadowmoon Valley. But all you need to know right now is these used to be black dragons. And when Draenor was shattered into Outland, these things were... This is the result. The black dragons pretty much all shifted and warped and were distorted into Nether Drakes. Now, it's worth noting not every black dragon shifted into a Nether Drake. But a decent number of them did, because of the massive amount of magic that was poured into them. High Elves used to be Night Elves. Okay. Oh, you know how touchy they are, Psychotic. So this is Altruis the Sufferer. He's probably one of the more awesome demon hunters, in my opinion. What do you see when you look to the west, mortal? And my reaction is, I see twisted steel and smell sundered earth. Whoa, whoa! I did not mean to do that. I didn't even hit that. Wah! Why am I on the... I didn't even take the quest yet. So anyways, here's another forge camp. Another example of Morg technology. He better be in Legion. Yeah, that counts as a mortal counter. Even though it technically shouldn't. We'll go ahead and add that. Mortal. See, he lends us... So, this is supposed to happen after we take the quest. He's supposed to lend us his Nether Drake in order to scout out the area and see how bad the invasion force is. Which is funny, because I'm pretty sure now we're going to have to do this a second time, because, you know, I don't actually have the quest yet. So over here we have a little camp of shadow bastards. There's actually a small bit of lore for these guys. It's not much. Basically, this is actually part of the Netherwing quest chain. The long and the short of it is, there's a bunch of the former members of the Shadow Council who have started following that particular Eridar, whose name I've already forgotten. And that Eridar has been trying to reopen that portal in order to summon forth the Legion and conquer these pitiful lands. We will not, as I mentioned earlier, be doing the Netherwing quest arcs because they're insane and long. And yeah. To my knowledge, no, Dolgoran. Which is funny, you'd think the Naru would know quite a bit about the Titans, but they haven't told us anything. Okay, so now to do that again, basically. Does my appearance startle you? Do you know what I am? Keep in mind, in-game, we have only encountered one other demon hunter up to this point in time, that being Loramus Thalapides, back in the Blasted Lands. In Warlords, Hylisk? So now I have a quest. To be my eyes that will require some diligence on your part. Nethrodamus will take you through the Legion camps, but you must catalog everything you see. Even the smallest detail you may think inconsequential but could be useful for our purposes. Primarily, I want you to note what structures are in the camps and what comprise the camp's defenses. Nethrodamus is ready when you are, Valvaxis. Do not be afraid. He will keep you safe from harm. Yep, there we go. Okay. So here we go again. Oh! I know what you're talking about, Hylisk. God. Yeah, no, obviously, I'm not talking about that now, because we're doing that in Warlords. Otherwise, I'd have nothing to talk about there. Oh, excuse me. But yes, the knowledge of demon hunters is actually not that common. Probably the only demon hunter of any real renown is Illidan himself, and Illidan has an extremely bad reputation. There we go. He has an extremely bad reputation because everyone thinks Illidan is this big evil villain. Whether Illidan is this big evil villain or not is a little debatable. I would argue that he is not, personally. Why am I now on a PvP realm? Why did that happen? Hang on. Or rather, I think I know why that happened. Here it is. Found the quotes here. What he says is, "Do you know what I see? A precursor to invasion. The Master was wise in sealing the portals, but has since lost his... How do I put this? The Master has lost his focus. Yes, his focus. With this loss, the Legion has seized opportunity. They seep out now, growing in number day by day. The Burning Legion. Demons. I see them as clearly as you see your own hand in front of your face. That is, I used to be able to see them clearly. With the Legion's return comes new machinations. Under normal circumstances, I am able to sense the presence of demon from 1,000 paces. And now? Now they elude me. I cannot see past their defenses. They have put wards to prevent detection. They fear us because they know that we fear nothing. The cost for such power is great, and the sacrifices are many." So he says, "How do you see them now?" And he turns to you and smiles. "I do not." He points to his mount. "We must stop them before these forge camps are able to complete whatever it is they're building. Those structures that litter the landscape. The Legion employs Moarg and Ganarg to build weapons of mass destruction at these mobile forge camps. Let us find out what they're up to in Nagrand. You will be my eyes, your weapon will be my fury." Dun, dun, dun. Good news is the quest completed. Excellent work. Now we have a point from which we can plan our counterattack. As long as the transporters stand, nothing we do to the forge camps will have any permanence. We must find a way to destroy the Legion structures. I need to devise a plan of attack. If you can keep their engineers and tinkerers busy, it would greatly slow down their progress. You got it. By the way, that guy will be returning in Legion. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. So while I do this quest, who would like to hear about probably the funniest bug that I've ever encountered in this particular game? And I've encountered a lot of bugs in this game. They were legendary even before he used them, Venters. They were originally a single blade that was wielded by a demon lord called Azeroth. And they were very well forged and very well crafted. And Illidan took them. Actually, I'm not sure if Illidan is the one who specifically took them. But either way, they were taken and then forged into the twin blades of Azeroth. In lore, the blades can actually be recombined into the central glaive, although I don't think that's been a thing in gameplay ever, basically. So you see those cannons there? Well, funny fact, in early BC, they had a couple of issues. So, because Samwise's personal logo is that of a Pandaren face. Or rather, a panda face, long before Pandarans ever became a thing. So he would put that on a bunch of the stuff he drew. That's why Takoda. So back when, you know, flying was new in this game, I was flying around in the Netherstorm, and I aggroed one of those guns, and it started shooting at me, naturally, so I flew away, because I didn't mean to aggro it. And I started flying south, and I turn it around, and I see it's still shooting at me, and I am way, way out of range. And I'm like, that's odd, it shouldn't be able to hit me from this distance. And so I just keep flying away at this point. It's like, okay, I need to get out of combat so I can go do whatever it was I was doing at the time. I don't remember anymore. And so I'm like, alright, I'll just fly further south. And I'm flying south, and I'm flying south. And all of a sudden, as I'm flying south, I turn around and I see a blast of green energy hit me, which is the attack animation they use. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like over the Nether. To give you an idea, like here's the Netherstorm up here. I was like in the middle of the Nether, journeying south to Hellfire at this point. I turn around and there's just this freaking cannon floating in the air behind me, shooting at me. And I'm just staring at it like... And it just became kind of funny after a bit, as I was trying to see exactly how far it would go to kill me. And I wasn't capable of, like, healing myself other than sitting down and eating. And I wasn't in combat either. So I could sit down and start to eat, but the moment I did, it would shoot me again. And break me out of eating. So I'm just, what the hell? And I finally got all the way south to Hellfire Peninsula. And turned around. And the thing was just still there, hovering in the air, shooting at me. And it actually killed me. At which point, it just stayed there in Hellfire Peninsula. It was really, really unusual. Yes, I think that's the word I'll use. Unusual. Apparently the Legion was very dedicated to killing me that day. Yeah. Yes, that is true, Third. You know how much I could afford flying back in the day? I had flying in all my characters back in the day. If you don't really get how significant that is, then just, yeah. As I suspected, there are no conventional means of destroying fell steel. All is not lost, however. All forge camps have a master planner. He dictates what types of structures are present and how each structure is situated. Moreover, this information is kept on a set of blueprints the planner carries around on their person. We need those blueprints. Armed with such information, we could persuade an acquaintance of mine to lend some assistance. Well, let's go get that then. That is true, Venters. But I had tier 2 flying in all my characters. Seriously, all my characters who are 70, I should clarify. As an aside, I absolutely hated 60 flying, or whatever it was called. You know, the slow flying. I can't even emulate for you how terrible it was. It was so slow. It was like... It was about this speed right here. So imagine if this is my travel speed. This is actually pretty accurate right about here. Hang on, Altruis. I'm coming. Give me a minute. Yeah, this is not really an exaggeration, by the way. This is an exaggeration, but not much of one. It was 60% move speed, is what the buff was. So, I literally don't know how to equate that. That would have been about... close to a third of what this pace is right now. Actually, a little less than a third of how fast I'm moving right now. Yeah, it's not going to tell me the exact speed for that. Yes, ground mounts were literally faster than the slow flying mount. It was terrible. Avoid the overseers at all costs. They must not be let on to your presence. The results could be disastrous. I'll go away. My acquaintance will hopefully know of a way to destroy the camps. He was a Legion engineer, after all. Take the blueprints and travel to Shatrith in Terakar Forest. Go to the lower city and look for a Moarg named Salsalabim. He's probably at the bar, drinking away his sorrows. By the way, you may need to convince him to lend assistance. Try to approach him with patience and understanding. If that doesn't work, use your fists. Well, okay then. But seriously, it was mind-numbingly slow. It was so terrible. And so I got into the habit of only when I first had regular flying and not fast flying, I would only use it when I actually needed to. It's like, okay, then immediately land and use a ground mount. I am not known for my patience in transit time in an MMO. Speaking of which, for anybody curious, we've actually already purchased faster flying on our Worgen Death Knight. The only reason we haven't purchased it yet on our Paladin is because it requires 70, but we do plan. I am going to be doing that just to speed up transit time. So, but yeah, having a flying mount was very useful in several sections of Shadow Moon and Netherstorm, and was flat required for Ogrilla and Sketties and the Netherwing stuff too. Yeah, me too, Hylisk. Like I said, I haven't actually leveled through BC since Wrath. The only character I've leveled after that, I purely did dungeons because I just didn't want to do Outland again. Probably psychotic. We'll see.
Loktar.
Yes, I did Darker Soul, but I can't prove it because it was on my other account. On this account, this account didn't even exist until they nerfed him, so shrug. So we've returned to these supplies from the ogres, and the children might be able to go a day without feeling hunger pains. Most of our possessions were destroyed or stolen in the attacks. I cannot offer you much, but there's some items you might find useful.
Be safe.
It took me a lot of tries, Darker. Just over and over and over, memorizing a lot of just, yeah, it was... Yeah, anyways, those are an upgrade. Kirith sends news of a Boulderfist leader. He is an orc. An ancient orc that passed through the Dark Portal in the time of our fathers, and has since returned to his homeland. I wish for you to go track down this orc and try to convince him to pull back the Boulderfist ogres. He resides on an upper platform of the Burning Blade ruins. Good luck, but beware. He is a blade master.
Victory!
Let's see what Garrosh has to say about all this. I have brought the invasion plans to him. He crumples the map up and throws it into the fire. What's the use? They've been attacking us for weeks. This is nothing new. Don't you understand? We are done for. Greatmother Geyah is dying.
Go forth to victory.
Man, he's just such an amazing leader.
Thrall.
And of course, we've killed Dern.
Go forth to victory. Strength.
I guess we're going to find out, Dakota. So, one other thing I want to mention here. One of the things that is very... Well, I didn't mean to do that. One of the things that's very important to keep in mind, even though it doesn't excuse them, one of the big reasons... God damn it. One of the big reasons why so many orcs were willing to follow Garrosh in his, let's put it as frankly as we can, mad schemes for power and conquest, was because everything was just so terrible for the orcs at that particular point in history, right? That was true, of course, for the orcs I'm referring to there are the orcs in Azeroth. Right now, the Horde is not actually doing all that well. And let's be blunt, that's mostly Thrall's fault. Thrall is too pacifist. He is literally allowing his Horde to be taken advantage of in order to preserve the peace. Or if I could put this into other terms, anyone out there ever watch Deep Space Nine? I'll just go ahead and assume some of you had. In Deep Space Nine, there's a plot thread in some of the earlier episodes that has to do with a group called the Maquis. Now, the Federation has a peace treaty with the Cardassians. And the Maquis say, well, that's not cool because the Cardassians are doing horrible, disgusting things to us, like poisoning the replicators, for example. So literally poisoned food comes out of their only source of food. Pretty despicable stuff, right? Well, the Federation's response to all of this is to brand all of the Maquis traitors, because to them, keeping the peace is more important than taking care of their own people. Flat out willing to abandon people into the demilitarized zone and literally fighting against anyone who tries to stand up for themselves, because to them, maintaining the peace was more important to them. Excuse me, let me say this correctly. For them, maintaining the peace treaty was more important than maintaining the peace. Okay? In other words, the Federation was allowing the Cardassians to step all over them. And the Maquis was mostly Federation people, Starfleet people in particular, who weren't willing to deal with that, okay? This is relevant because that's exactly what Thrall was doing. Thrall was more than willing to allow the Night Elves, and in some cases the humans, but mostly the Night Elves, to just walk all over him and his Horde, to completely deprive them of resources, and food, and materials, and luxuries, and convenience features, and all other fun things, because there are other places the Horde could have moved to and taken care of themselves in, and actually flourished in, and they didn't. And it was all because Thrall was willing to take that loss for his people. So again, when Garrosh comes along and says, I'll actually make it so that you people can eat every day, people flocked to his banner. And I mention this because that's exactly the kind of situation we had here with the Mag'har. It's one of the reasons why Garrosh found that circumstance so despicable and so unacceptable, because he knows what it's like to have his people be unable to have food, or to be unable to take care of themselves, to be poor as a race, as a people, because that's exactly what the Mag'har were going through, and he had already gone through. So, I mention this because Thrall was too far one way, but Garrosh was too far the other way, and that is in response to Koida's question. I personally think we didn't need a warmongering leader like Garrosh, but we also didn't need someone who had no backbone like Thrall. Someone like, say, Cairn. He would have made a good war chief. So this is Lantressor of the Blade. I have killed many of your ogres, Lantressor. I have no fear. Then you are a fool. Do you know what I am? Should I know? You look like an orc to me. An orc. I am a blade master of half-orc descent. Well, what's the other half? Draenei. And because of this, I am neither. Not orc, not Draenei. My own kind are a rare breed, most having been killed decades ago. I live because of my strength of will. I've heard of your kind, but I never thought to see the day when I would meet a half-breed. Bite your tongue, Blood Elf. I have seen things in my lifetime you've only heard about in legends. I have killed man, woman, and child without remorse. Under a banner of 2 war chiefs of the Horde I have served, and now I rule the Boulderfist. My apologies. I did not mean to offend. I am here on behalf of my people. And what do your people want of Lantressor, Blood Elf? My people ask that you pull back your Boulderfist ogres and cease all attacks on our territories. In return, we will also pull back our forces. Do you know where you are, fool? This is Ogre land. Before Orc, before Draenei, there was Ogre. I've already talked about this a bit. Yet you wish to start a war that you would inevitably lose? Boulderfist will crush you. And if Boulderfist does not crush you, Warmaul will. But I think your leaders already know this. We will fight you till the end, then. We will not stand idly as you pillage our towns and kill our people. He glares at you as if looking through you. Perhaps there's another way. I will agree to your leader's demands if you do exactly as I ask. With your assistance, we may be able to help each other out greatly. Alright, so, let's do this. So, hang on. It's not just that, Takoida. Thrall wanted so badly a society in which the Horde and the Alliance weren't at war that he was totally willing to accept that loss in order to ensure that the Horde and the Alliance weren't at war. It's funny because Jaina's actually in the same exact situation. Both Jaina and Thrall constantly had to deal with basically situations being screwed up and one group of radicals or one individual radical of one side or the other trying to screw up the peace between the two, and then turning around and be like, nope, hang on, let's make it work. We'll just... Hang on, I need to kill one of your ogres right in front of you, Lantressor, if you're okay with that. There we go, okay. You will stage a series of events that will lead the Kilsaro orcs of Kilsaro Fortress to believe the Warmaul ogres have attacked their base, and then another series of events to make the Warmaul believe the Kilsaro are attacking their base. Do this and both of our problems will be solved. The Boulderfist will have their territory back, and your people will be free from the attack on Boulderfist, Warmaul, and the Shadow Council. You will need to steal Kilsaro armaments from Kilsaro Fortress if my plan is to work. Search the fortress for crates of armaments. Bring me whatever you can. He hands you a pack of banners. These are Warmaul Ogre banners that I recently acquired. I want you to travel to the fortress directly south of here and kill as many of the filth as you can. Drive an Ogre banner through the heart of each fallen soldier. Return to me when you have completed this. I agree, Hylisk. And I agree with what a lot of people said. Lorthamar, he would have been a good war chief, I think. Again, kind of the in-between thing. Willing to stand up for his people, but not willing to be completely, not going too far into warmongering, but not willing to be run over as a peacemonger, but someone who is still willing to reach out for peace. A nice middle ground kind of a situation. And as Hylisk points out, and as we will see, he is the one who reaches out the olive branch to Jaina in Pandaria. He is the one who accepts that, even after she basically did some really horrible stuff to his people as a result of the events of Lorerun, which we will also be seeing on camera. By the way, fun fact in response to what Delgarin says there. To my knowledge, there's actually only 2 half-breeds. Or no, excuse me, 3, I guess, aren't there? There's 3 half-Draenei, half-Ogre, or half-Orcs, like, ever. There's Garona, of course, the famous one, Lantressor, and the gentleman whose name I can never think of, but he's in Wrath. And he's actually, I think he's Yrel's cousin or something like that. I forget his familial relation. We'll get to him when we get to Wrath, though. Lorthamar has a fairly small presence in Warlords. Is it? I don't remember his name. I am terrible with names, and I don't want to look it up right now because we're not even there yet. But my point is, there's hardly any half-Draenei, half-Orcs we encounter. Madan, we're not counting Madan. Screw Madan. He might as well not exist. And that's how we're going to treat him from now on. Like, I don't even have anything to discuss about Madan. He's a Mary Sue. And he's a love child of Medivh and Garona. And the end. I mean, what else is there? No, Rexar is half Ogre, half Orc. Not half Orc, half Draenei. They actually have a Mok'Nathal, that's what they call him. He's a Mok'Nathal. I can't think of his name. That's really going to bother me. Whatever. It doesn't matter. What doesn't matter? I'll get to it when we get to Wrath. I'll look up his name, damn it. I like, by the way, how the Kilsaro have tons and tons of bones just lying around for rituals and whatnot. I mean, I know this sounds really hypocritical coming from someone who reveres the Scourge, basically, but it's gotta be gross having just a bunch of skeletons lying around all the time. I guess he did the one. That is certainly a thing that is close to true. Actually, there's very few half-breeds in Warcraft in general. Orcs and Draenei, of course. Humans and orcs, that's a thing. And humans and high elves are a thing. I don't know if night elves have ever interbred with humans or anything else for that matter. There's probably other examples, but those are the only ones that come to mind immediately. Also, thank you, by the way, Andy. I appreciate your kind thoughts. Now you must plant the seed of war in the fat, useless heads of the war maul. To the northwest, near the mountains, you will find the Laughing Skull ruins. Use these Kill Sorrow banners, and so forth and so on. See you around, Bragwin. This is an amusing little false flag operation. It's funny how easy it is for it to work, but Warcraft is absolutely filled with false flag operations. A lot of the major conflicts in this entire setting, and I'm talking not just the ones on the games, but the ones going back through history, were started because of false flag operations. My personal favorite example of that is the war between the Horde and the Alliance that was started in between Wrath and Kata. So, that's true, Schmeidolf. That is true. So, yeah. False flag it's just nice to see us engaging in a false flag operation rather than one being used against us, as it usually happens. So I've kind of already talked about this. No, not quite, Takoida. So there are 4 major powers in here that are not the Mag'har or the Taladors, right? That would be the Warmaul clan of ogres, who are basically the strongest ogres in the entire region. The Boulderfist ogres, those are the ones under control of Lantressor. The Kilsaro, who are an out-branch of the Shadow Council, and the Murk Bloods, who I've really already discussed. The Murk Bloods aren't relevant for this particular discussion, though. So we, the Mag'har, want to reach out and make peace happen with the Boulderfist. So the only way he's willing to accept this is if we arrange it so that our respective enemies fight amongst each other. Oh, God. Rather than fighting up against us. Damn it, someone. So what we're doing is we're blaming a Warmaul attack on the Kilsaro, and we're blaming a Kilsaro attack on the Warmaul. Again, a false flag operation, so that they will assume that this big battle happened between the two, and their leaders will go to war with each other, and we will be left alone. And at that point, the Boulderfist and the Mag'har will be allies henceforth. Well, like I said, we already know that High Elves and humans can interbreed, because Alleria and Turelion had a child. We saw him in Hellfire Peninsula. That's true, Zewan. We have not. Let me go check what that was set to. It's probably going to be set towards this suit, but I want to double check and read your comment. For the Alliance! Thank you for the donation. That would be this counter. Oh, that's true. Ronin and Varisa also interbred. Although I try not to think about that because it's Ronin. Although that is relevant for Sylvanas' character, of all things. Well, that's a good question, Lakoida. Now, speaking with future knowledge, we do know that he does end up keeping his bargain. But at the time, this is a gamble on our part. We are reaching out to someone who knows he's in a stronger military position than we are. The Boulderfist could crush us like a bug right now. The Magkar are not willing or capable of taking on the Boulderfist at this point in time. So diplomacy and bargaining is literally our only option. So he would be fully within his realm and right in order to just go ahead and go after us now that his two enemies are distracted and try to claim more power for himself. So this is a gamble, absolutely. In answer to Hylisk's question, how did Lantressor become in charge? Well, it's actually funny, because it's part of Ogre politics. There's two kinds of Ogre politics. There's sophisticated Ogre politics, which we basically won't see at all until we get to Warlords, and then there's more mundane Ogre politics. Ogres have a unique form of meritocracy. In other words, if you want to be in charge, you have to prove that you can be in charge. And so you have to, this is actually something that Sylvanas does all the way back in Frozen Throne, and is relevant even in Warlords. She walked up and said, I am now in charge. And the other ogres said, okay, no problem. Now granted, there was a Banshee involved, but it's the same concept. The general idea being, I'm going to prove that I deserve to be your leader, and since ogres revere strength, all that is required is significant strength to make that happen. That doesn't necessarily mean martial strength, by the way. It could mean, magical strength or political strength or whatever. The ability to prove that you deserve to be in charge, like I said. Damn it. Die. So we don't know exactly how Lantressor took over, but the general idea is that he walked in and said, I'm going to rule you now, and beat the living hell out of all of them. Until they agreed to follow his rule. Oh, this is great, by the way. So these are some Boulderfist saboteurs. So they have to pretend that they're from the Shadow Council to make the Warmaul think that the Shadow Council is attacking. So Shadow Council come for you, Warmaul. Warmaul, we is mad at you. Me wanted to make it believe. Me wanted to make it real. They think for sure at the council now. You so smart. Let's do this before more come. Last month, me won the dead orc sounding champion. Me won the dead orc sound contest. Your dead orcs sound okay. Mine better. Oh, for sure it'd be good. In case you're missing it, they're literally making sound effects as they walk along, as if these were dead orcs. So they're like, ugh, when they put the corpses on the ground. You make that sound pretty good. Sound like the orc died it. That's all of them. These Warmaul be so mad. Hooray! Chug chug. As an aside, I love the idea that ogres actually legitimately have a contest where they try to sound like a dead orc the best. I doubt they do, but that would be really funny to me. When to talk about Verisa? I think we'll talk about her at the end of Pandaria, because the only real time that Verisa has significance to the story is in Pandaria, really. I'm gonna look up that guy while I'm traveling here. Yes, Nerozaz. All such attempts have failed, not counting the Gorian Empire. The Gorian Empire was the Ogres United, and they were a force to be reckoned with. They ruled the entire planet. Not just this continent, or I'm sorry, let me make this clear. Not just this continent. This continent and the other one that's over here too. They ruled the planet. The Gorian Empire was huge. There's a lot of shades of the Roman Empire and the Gorian Empire. But, yeah. Of course we do, Psychotic. Ooh, I can't do a dead orc voice. Okay, so, can you predict what will happen next? This plan is perfect. I'm already seeing the fruits of your labor. Do you now understand why you would never win a war against me? I must admit, I have not felt alive like this in decades. Take it. This is an offering to your people. You have single-handedly saved my clan from extermination. You may tell your leader that Lantressor of the Burning Blade and his Boulderfist ogres accept the offering of peace. Now, we're actually not going to turn that in yet. We want to go finish Altruis's quest while we're in this vicinity. Again, it is worth noting that Lantressor could have just tried that kind of a plan against us. Sure, hang on. There it is. It is literally his blade, his polearm, and it looks pretty cool, I think. I will probably keep a hold of that for Transmog because it looks awesome. How does orc taste? I don't want to know. But it looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Let's get you a slightly better look at it. To my knowledge, that's a unique model, too. That's the only one of that you can get, like, ever. Oh, well. I'll look later. It's going to be kind of weird to find it. Oh, did Rend drop something like that? Of course, he doesn't now, because he doesn't exist now. So, here's Sal Salabim. By the way, you remember how I mentioned that the lower city consisted of all sorts of people? This is my favorite example of this. There's a freaking demon. A Moarg. Just hanging out in the bar, drinking. I love that. I love the fact that there's a freaking demon just having a beer or whatever. Amongst the Blood Elves and the Draenei and the Gnomes. There's an Ogre down here. There's a Bronze Dragon. Zephyr right there is a Bronze Dragon. You can kind of tell because she's not... She's floating. Humans are down here. There's a Night Elf. Broken are here. Oh yeah, so here's this. There's this person named Harris Pilton. Was apparently a socialite.
The eternal sun guides us.
She sells a black diamond ring, a sapphire pinky ring, a noble elementium signet, a gold eternium band, and of course the thing that actually matters, a 24-slot bag. Be honest, how many of you guys went out of their way to buy this bag back in the day? And I'm going to go ahead and raise my hand. I only bought the bag once on my main.
Time is of the essence.
'Cause, yeah. Ah.
Hello.
When I first set up my rogue academy in Shatrith, it wasn't nearly this crowded. Then refugees started flooding in and the Naru needed every available building to house them. I've closed the doors to my academy for now, but it's not permanent. I'll find a new place to set up. Then a new generation of rogues will learn such staples as the gouge and grin, combat looting, and blaming someone else for breaking polymorphs. And who can forget the central rule of roguery? Real rogues don't faint.
Be careful.
I don't know, Mind Blast. I admittedly don't really know my followers in my garrison all that well. Also Horde, so, you know. He growls at you and goes back to his beverage. Hey, Altruis sent me. He said you could help me? Oh, yeah, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. Okay, okay, I won't kill you. I like how he's speaking in demonic, so I have no idea what he's saying here. Calm down, Bright Eyes. Sal Saladim will help. Ah, this is Sal Saladim divine. Look at the towers. Demon Hunter can no see, yes? Poor Altruis. He'd cry if he had eyes, yes? Ah, yes, Sal Saladim will help, but first you help me. He hands you a ledger. These creatures owe Sal Saladim golds. Many golds. Go collect for Sal Saladim and come back. They don't give you Sal Saladim gold easy. Have to fight. But you strong. You defeat Sal Saladim. Well, let's see who owes him gold. Let's see. Relic the Drunk, who is an ogre who never leaves the cantina. He is mean, ugly, fat, mean, and also very fat. Kush, an annoying little spore man from Zangarmarsh, has mushroom garden on border of Zangarmarsh and Terakar. Lost many golds to Sal Saladim in game of What's That Smell? Tried to pay Sal Saladim with stupid mushroom called Glowcap. Say it as good as gold. Ah! Floon, Arakoa, lost many golds to Sal Saladim. Sal Saladim killed Birdman for not paying. Now ghost of Birdman walks in the bone wastes. Oh god, the humor, the jokester guy is coming up. So, what you want? I've been sent by Sal Saladim to collect a debt you owe. Oh my god, he's dead. Okay, well, I didn't mean to kill him, but okay, whatever. And yes, a warlock should theoretically be able to tell what he's saying. Because, you know, demonic. I gotta admit, overall, this quest is interesting to me in a lot of ways. It shows insight into the fact... It's that mercenary thing all over again. The idea that not all demons are, you know, cacklingly evil, we want to kill all life kind of creatures. But there is one part of this quest I feel really bad about. So if you'll remember, I talked during the Zangarmarsh section about the Sporelocks, and how they have this whole economy based off of mushrooms, because mushrooms are actually useful to them. So this creature up here, who doesn't appear to be here at the moment, where are you? Up there he is, tried to pay off his debt in mushrooms. And yeah, so we kill him and then take his gold to go pay the debt. As an aside, I really hope demon hunters can speak demonic. I'm going to be upset if they can't. Because, I mean, for God's sakes. Oh, fine. I'll read the mushroom guy's line. So if you talk to him, he says... And you say, look, I'm going to need the money back. And he says... Kush pay nothing. Die. Yeah, no kidding, said one. Anyone remember when warlocks could actually speak demonic? Or I should say could understand demonic? I don't know if they can again. I know they got rid of that at least at one point. It's actually more complicated than that. Basically, you could, like, slash duel someone, and then cast Curse of Tongues on them. And then for the... At least I think it was Curse of Tongues. And then for the duration, they could speak demonic. And so there were a couple of NPCs in the game who universally spoke demonic. And so one of the things we used to do is we used to set it up so we duel right next to those NPCs, so we could cast the curse and figure out what they were saying. And then they kind of got rid of that, so that even though... What was that? That was an explore ding. Oh, I love explore dings. We definitely need to take a picture while we're on the... Well, yep. Explore ding. Okay, there we go. There we go. Anyways, so sorry. You used to be able to do that, and then they got rid of it. So it was the point where even though you were speaking in demonic, if an NPC was saying something in demonic, you couldn't understand it. So I love explorings, but I'll talk about that in a second. So this is dead. This is a dead Arakoa. And it's like, I want your money. And he's like, you're serious? He already killed me. What more could he want? Well, apparently he wants his golds. Pay up or die. Again. I choose the third option. Killing you. And he's dead. Excuse me. Also, awesome third. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll finally get rid of that language barrier. At this point, it's almost vestigial. Like, I'm not even sure getting rid of it would do anything at this point. So, explordings are awesome. I actually have a bit of a history with explordings. The first time I ever hit 70 was on an explording. I even remember the exact area it was. It was right here in Blade's Edge, right in this region. There's one little area where there's a bunch of demon stuff in the vicinity. And so I was questing up there with packs. In the middle of a quest, and I walked up to the next area. And it's like, and that was my first ever explording. Since then, explordings have been kind of like a treat for me, for lack of a better way to put it. So every time it happens, I'm like, yes, awesome. That's really all I got. I do enjoy explordings as a result of that. So every time I get one, it's like, yay. I've also gotten a lot of explordings over the years. In fact, one of the things I used to do is I'd hit 58, and then I'd go to Outland and just start walking across Hellfire and Zangarmarsh and Terrakar, and basically getting to like 59.5 just from all the Explorex along the way.
I'd like to give a shout out to my boys in Nagrand. Keeping it real, Big T, Snoop
my
Pup,
God.
and Little D's. Y'all are short, but you're real, baby.
So this guy is the worst comedian in the world. What time is it when an Elix sits on your face? Time to get a new... I said that totally wrong. What time is it when an Elix sits on your fence? Time to get a new fence. Hey, it's Rallic the Drunk. His mama's so fat, when she flies to Blade's Edge, they charge her by the pound. The other day I saw one walking down the street shouting, "Once you go gnome, you never go home." I love Blood Elf women, especially when they say stuff like this.
Do you think the expansion will make me fat?
This guy is the worst comedian in the known universe. He is so terrible. That's the point. I mean, he is deliberately terrible. He just tells the worst jokes. How desperate do you have to be for allies that recruit your livestock? I own a dog, but I'm not giving him a sword. One last impersonation. It's tough, but see if you can guess who it is.
No time for play.
Unfortunately, I can't duel him. Those are our current donation incentive numbers for which Transmog will be wearing. Sufser. Okay, so I gotta hurry it up a little bit because I'm apparently gonna be heading to lunch soon, and I'd really like to finish up Nagrand before we do that. So, you see where fell cannons are? He points an arrow. You turn fell cannons around and use on structures. Wait! Don't be mad. One thing you not know. Overseers have key to turn cannons. Oh, you need key first. One from each overseer. Not so easy, huh? Take information back to Altruis. Gotta admit, his imitations are pretty good. Yeah, so right now we're wearing the sexy outfit. Pretty much entirely due to a gentleman named The One Joker, who insists that we look like this. Oh, I suppose I should answer. Was it Psychotic who asked that? Someone asking how I hit so hard. So they added a new mechanic fairly recently, actually, where you do more damage based on your level versus the target opponent's level. So the higher level I am compared to an enemy, the more I'm going to hit them for. This is one of the reasons why a level 100 can now go back and with ease solo most old raids. It didn't really used to be that way. It used to be it took a great deal of skill and effort, and in some cases it was flat out impossible for certain classes to go solo older raids. But now, for example, me and Pax can duo Pandaria raids, one expansion away from where it actually came out. That's pretty much entirely because of that new mechanic. I forget the exact formula, but it basically boils down to each level you are above them increases your damage by X amount. To the point where if you're 10 levels above something, you're going to be hitting it pretty hard. And doing roughly 10 times the damage you were. Nagrand is still pretty. So we're going to finish up Altruis here, and hopefully that will be the last thing required for the Garrosh event. Because once that's done, we're done with Nagrand, and then I can go get lunch, and then I can go and conquer all. So I have two answers to that, Darker. Answer number one. The Ravager pet. Ravager, of course, you know, you might be thinking, what the heck is so special about a Ravager? Well, the moment I took up Hunter in BC on my Blood Elf, the first pet I bothered to get was a Ravager pet in, I should say the second pet I bothered to get, was a Ravager pet in Hellfire Peninsula. And it was awesome, and it was named Heartless, and I kept using him for all things. He was actually our guild tank. I've already told this story, but he was our guild tank for a while. So I've always had a fondness for Ravagers as a result of that. My next favorite pet is one that is an awesome story, which I'll go ahead and tell you since I've got the time for it. So it's the Spirit Wolf that you find in Storm Peaks in Wrath. And for those of you not aware of the full complexities of this, it's a rare spawn that basically spawns like once every, I think, 3 days. And it's very easy to just tag and kill it, but it's also, at least at the time, it was a completely unique model. It was the only thing that looked exactly like that. And of course it has its own special ability too. So I had been farming that guy for God knows how long. At least days, if not weeks, if not months. It was a very, very long period of time I spent farming him. Pause for a moment. Of course, we will use their own weapons against them. Gather your courage. You will need it if you're facing an Overseer. Once you're ready, kill them and take their keys. So I farmed that thing for absolutely forever. And after a while, I gave up. Well, one day, long after that, I was just basically, by incidents, happened to be in the area on my Hunter. And I looked down and I see it was right there. It was spawned. And I'm like, oh my god. And I rushed down and there was an Alliance standing right next to it. And I look at the Alliance and I'm like, holy crap, there's an Alliance. There's an Alliance right there. What do I do? What do I do? Oh god, it's an Alliance. And here we go. Go ahead and just turn their cannons against them here. And so I don't want to I don't want to be a jerk, first of all. So I automatically assumed the Alliance wants whatever his name, Loknarok, or whatever heck his name is. Or no, it's not Loknarok, that's the other guy. I can't think of his name, but anyways, he's like, oh god. And so I point to it, and I turn to him, and I'm like /?, and he does a /bow and makes a point of backing off. This was such an awesome moment for me, because this Alliance guy, who had every motive in the world to just screw me over and could have just killed it, or tagged it, or interrupted the tame, or whatever, bothered to go out of his way with emotes to indicate that he was cool with me taming the pet. So I did a /bow in return, a /thank, tamed the pet. I actually still use it to this day. And I turned around and I gave him another /thank, and he did a /cheer in response to that. It was just really cool, that kind of interaction. Yeah, it's not Loknahawk. That's not the one I'm thinking of. I can't think of his name. It's a Nordic name. I remember that. But so that is my second favorite pet, and the one I still use to this day on my hunter. I actually have a small little collection of pets that I got, basically because I enjoy their appearance. I have the only ghost worm that you can get. So that's kind of cool. And I can't remember the other one. Skoll! Skoll, that's who he is. Skoll. Okay, theoretically, once I turn these in, we should be ready for the Garrosh event. If not, I don't know what I'm missing. Yeah, he was a good guy, Nero says. Delgaron, in response to that, I'm pretty sure that we should basically consider the Warcraft movie its own separate canon, basically. Consider it a Earth 2 kind of a situation for those DC fans out there. In other words, similar, but effectively a different continuity. Hang on, I'll permit you. Permit. Yeah, I know, Sufser. Like I said, it was, at the time, completely unique. It's not anymore, and that's fine. And yes, I am actually aware of that, Rusty. You can also tame Chromagus now. I don't remember when they added that. The purple spirit wolf, yeah, he looks really cool, John Goffet. I've never actually gotten him personally. He's not one of the ones I added to my collection. But he's very cool looking. There's actually a really large amount of really cool looking hunter pets in the game. It almost made it difficult to choose, you know. But I wanted Skoll so badly. I was so happy to get that. Just such a random luck, too. I just happened to log on. He's right there. Like, to give you an idea, like, I log on in the air, because I always log off in the air. And I look down, and he's right there. Like, right in front of me. And I'm like, you know, just, oh my god. Completely flipping out over here. And the fact that there was an alliance standing next to him, too, gave me a heart attack. I'm like, oh god, no, please. Not the alliance.
What do you need?
Garrosh seems unmoved by the offering. He kicks the crate aside. You waste your time, Blood Elf. Take whatever you desire from the crate. I, nor Garadar, have need for these useless trinkets.
Go with honor.
The Greatmother has asked that I seek you out and deliver a message. She wishes to speak with you at once. My will has been sapped, but make no mistake. If you anger the Greatmother, I will come down upon you with all the force I can muster.
For the Horde.
No, I don't, Darker. I am unaware of that. Hey, Thrall. Technically, you're not here yet. Let's just pretend you're not here. Let's just move you off the camera. There we go. Hello, dear. I am Geyah, matron of the Mag'har. If you are here, it would be safe to assume the portal has opened. Most of the orcs here were too young or too sick to remember the dark portal. Many of them were orphans, or would become orphans. Blackhand would have it no other way. Keep the sick from the healthy. Only the strong would survive. Or so they say. They have grown up here. We kept them safe from harm. We did the best that we could in nursing them back to health. Many perished, but many more grew strong, like Garrosh. He's lost his heart, you know. He tells me that I am his balance, that without me the bloodlust that consumed his father would ultimately curse our people, and that would take him over. Do you believe that? Oh, of course not, dear. But it's not me that has to believe. Garrosh can lead the Mag'har. He is strong and wise. All of the spirits approve of him. He just needs to believe in himself. He fears so much. He fears so deeply that if he lets himself go, his rage will consume him and all near him. As a quick aside, I want to remind you that later on, Garrosh would go out of his way to poison and despoil the elements just for a brief tactical advantage. Just point that out. I wish I knew what to do, dear. He will not listen to me or you, nor will he listen to the truth. It is why I am still here, why I have not left with Mother Kasher. He must find his heart. Our people will not survive through the winter without leadership. I am old. It is my time. When I pass, my spirit will move on to the spirit realm. It is there I will stand with my ancestors. It is there I will watch over our people. When Garrosh was alive, Mother Kasher's duty was the same as my duty now. Well, what is this duty? The duty of a clan mother is to listen to the wind, to the water, the fire, and the earth. To gather information for her clan the way others gather furs to stay warm. It is the spirits that I commune with. In my dreams, Mother Kasher speaks to me like the spirits that spoke to her once. When I pass, I will speak to Drakeyah and Celestine in that manner. Is there anything I can do for you?
Farewell.
What can I Thrall's not there yet. Ah, crap. Looks like I've got one more quest chain to do. Damn it. I was really hoping we were at the Thrall stuff. But we're not. Also, yeah, anyone accusing Garrosh of being wise, I will freely admit the possibility of him being a decent leader is something that can happen with time and work and training. I would also like to say that Garrosh being a decent frontline soldier is something that can totally happen. But a wise leader? To really emphasize, by the way, just really hammer this point in. She should be dead right now. And remember, I'm not just talking about like this some kind of, pragmatic, oh, death is this horrible thing kind of a thing. What I mean by that is the orcs practice ancestral magic. They literally need ancestral spirits to function as a society. And Garrosh is so goddamn stupid, he is actually preventing her from moving on to become an ancestral spirit. Seriously. Because he is so afraid and so stupid and has such a lack of self that he is sitting there like, oh no, please don't leave me, Great Mother. I am so ridiculously stupid. I'm done. I'm done. So my quote-unquote ride is here. I was really hoping to finish this quest first. But whatever, we'll come back and then we'll finish the last quest in Nagrand. And then we will move on to the Blade's Edge Mountains. So I'll see you in a bit, guys.